So in this video I'm going to show you how to fix the rail and a switch, in particular the left one on this, but it's a similar process for both. Now this one's showing that red joycon connected, but you can see if I move it around there's some give in that. And now just to make sure it was the rail, I tested that joycon in another Nintendo Switch, and it's fine no matter how much you move it there. So that tells me it's the switch itself, the rail and the switch, rather than the joycon. Or if you don't have a spare switch, you can try another joycon on it and see is it still having the same problems. So once you know if it's the controller or the switch, then you can start the repair. Now what you can do first, you can check in here. And here on the controller, there's little gold contacts in there. They can get dirty. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but they can get dirty and they can stop the joycon having a good connection. Or in here is the same, there's some contacts in there. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to put some isopropyl alcohol in there and use a toothbrush and gently just try to clean that, very gently. Now you don't want to damage the pins even further if they are damaged already, but just try to get the bristles in there and try to clean off any possible corrosion or maybe something spilled in there or there's some dirt in there, you know. So you can give that a wee go. And you can do the same on the Joy-Con as well, you know. So if we try that now, we still see it's not getting a good connection. So it's still too on and off, and you can even see there it's kind of the charging's going on and off there, so it was. So we're definitely going to need to change the rail on this. So I'll show you how to do that now. Now just to protect the screen of that console, I'm just going to put down a cloth here so I don't damage it. Now I've done teardowns in this console a few times on my page, but I'll just I'll go through it quickly again. You'll need a Phillips 0 screw and a Y0 screw. So start with your Phillips. Remove the screw here and the screw there and there. So it's 3 screws all together, but you'll find a lot of these consoles, because they're the ones that are easiest damaged, screws are missing. Like there's already a screw missing there and there. So there's only one left in this console, but I'll just do that anyway now. And I always say take those ones out first, because they're so easily damaged. You want to take them out when there's pressure being kept, everything's been kept together by the pressure of the other screws. So take those out, take this one at the micro SD cover out. There's one in the middle here in that rail, one in the middle of that rail. Those two need to come out too, because they're holding the back cover on. Now swap to your Tri-Wing 0 screw or your Nintendo screwdriver bit, sorry. You have 4 screws here in the back cover to take out, and those are the last ones you need to take out. And then you can lift that back cover off. We'll give that a wee clean when we're putting it back together. Now back to our Phillips 0 screw. We have a few silver screws to take out here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all together. Those all need to come out, and then we can remove this heat shield. Now the last screw here is just holding on this SD card reader as well. So once we remove that screw, we can remove that SD card reader. And when we do that, you just lift it up and just pull it away, because it's a wee connector holding it on then. So with those out, we're going to remove this heat shield. Now first thing you want to do is disconnect the battery, because you don't want any power going through this board in case you accidentally short something out. Now the rail we're having a problem with was the left one, so it's this one we need to remove. But it's a similar procedure with both. First thing you'll do actually is disconnect it at the board here. This cable actually runs down over and it's connected to that rail. So we'll just lift up that wee grey flap in the connector and we'll pull that cable out. And you can use the wee tags there on the end of it. We'll pull that out. Now next thing we need to do is we need to remove the 4 other screws in this rail. 1, 2, 3, 4, because they're holding that rail onto the frame of the console. So now with that out, this console's kind of loose, but there's a bit of adhesive attaching this this cable this flex cable to the inside of that board. So just be careful when you're trying to lift that up. If you want, you can use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, but just don't use too much because you don't want it seeping into the screen. Just lift that battery connector away. Just try and pull up. Yeah, see when you pull it up and it pulls away. There's just a bit of adhesive there holding it down. So I'm going to get a replacement rail for this now. Yeah, you see what the problem was. It was actually me taking it out there fully tore it, but there was actually a bit of a tear in it there. So that's why it was having issues, because look, see how easy that cable came away. That shouldn't do that. So I'm going to get a replacement rail here now. When you're getting a replacement rail, there's two. One with a short cable, one with a long cable. The one we need to replace is one with the long cable. That's the left rail. The right rail here has a shorter cable, so it'll be the one with the short replacement cable, obviously. Now, when you buy these, when you buy the replacement rails, you get the whole metal rail with the little bit of circuitry inside it, just the cable really. But a handy thing to know is if, say, you have a switch OLED and it has a rail and you need to change it, and if you don't have any replacement OLED specific rails, you just have these ones. What you can do is you can push out that little metal pin there. You can take this out and you can put that into the old switch rail. So you're taking out this part of the old switch OLED rail, sorry, putting this into the switch OLED rail, because these parts are the same. It's just these metal rail parts that are different on the console. So those are the parts that are going to be, those are the parts you can't use switch on switch OLED or switch OLED on switch. But this little bit here, you can swap them about. Just a handy thing to know. Now, if you're doing the other side of the rail, we just do the same thing. We disconnect the connector there, disconnect the cable from the connector, unscrew the 4 rails and just take it out the same. I don't think there's any adhesive holding it down, so it's even maybe a bit handier. With our new rail anyway, I'm going to put in the 4 screws that we took out there. Now, there's a trick we need to try and get this in. First of all, what we need to do is we want to fold this cable kind of to the way the old one was. So it was folded, it was folded like that, so it came down and then went up and around. So when they do that to our own here, we're going to fold that back on itself like that, just to make it easier to get it into this connector. Excuse me. So we're going to have to try and slide this in under the motherboard like this. This just saves us having to use more time and effort to take out the motherboard. So we need to slide it in like that. Keep sliding it on in till about there, and then we can put it back into the connector. I'm making this look a lot harder than what it is. So when it's in now, just make sure it goes in as far as it can. You don't need to use too much pressure, and then just push down that grey flap again to lock that into place. There we go. So that's that back in, and now we can reattach our battery. And if you want, you can test this now. We can turn this console on, make sure that rail is fully working before we put anything back together. Although there's no reason it shouldn't be now. We did see the obvious break in the connector, so. Yeah, that's perfect there now. Connect right away, and there's no issue if we move it. So we can just put that into sleep mode now. And we'll put our heat shield back on, but I'm just going to give it a wee quick wipe first to get rid of that dust. So we'll put in our 6 silver screws, and then we'll leave the last one for the SD card reader. Now you need to replace the SD card reader, putting it back in. It's going to be a little tricky to see this, but if it makes it easier for you to align them up, take off that rubber pad or that kind of foamy pad, you can replace it then after, but you need to look in, make sure both connectors are lined up, and then just gently press it down into place like that. If you feel any resistance, just have another look and make sure they're lined up, because you don't want to damage them. So it's going to create even more work for yourself. Now I'm going to give this a wee dust too. So with that, a bit cleaner, we can put this back on now as well. So we're back to our our tri-wing screw. So we'll just reverse the order of the way we took the screws out, so we'll put them back in the opposite order. So it'll be tri-wing screws first. Now with our Phillips screw in, we'll put in the 2 center screws on the rails. We'll put in that smaller Phillips screw on the micro SD card slot. And then normally there's 3 screws to put back in here, but 2 of them are missing, so we'll just replace the 1 screw we had. Now I'm going to give us a test now, make sure the SD card reader is still working because we did remove that, so we need to test that again. But we can just test the controllers first. Make sure they're both charging as well. Just plug in a charger here to see. Yeah, all 3 of them's charging. And again, give it a wee shake. No issue. So I'm just going to grab an SD card now and test that reader before I call this completely fixed. Yeah, it detects the SD card reader as well, or detects the SD card, sorry. So yeah, that's that completely fixed. That's how you change the rail on a Nintendo Switch V1, V2. As I say, the process is similar to both. It's just getting the right replacement rail in. Hopefully somebody learned something from that, and I'm just going to end the video there now. Thank you for watching.